No individual in the history of the Melbourne Football Club has given more of himself on the field than David Neitz. Most games, most goals, most games as captain and the club's solitary Coleman medal. Sadly, no flags. Welcome, David. It was going all right there for a while.
It was going beautifully early, and then, the no flags. So, obviously it would have been great to get one of those by my name, but not to be.
Now, there are blokes that you and I both know well, Barassi and Bluey Adams, 6 premierships in the 50s and 60s. You've been used to that fact for a long time, but are you still envious of the glory days?
Yeah, look, it's phenomenal, the record that those guys have gone throughout that 50s and 60s period, and the Noel McMahons and these types of people, and it's been a hell of a lot. 50 years it's been since our last flag, and we were very hopeful for a period there. We had a chunk of time where we thought that we could contend, but ultimately couldn't get over the line.
Let me take you back to the year 2000. You reached the grand final, you play the all-conquering Bombers. What are your memories of that day?
It was an amazing week, the build-up to grand final week, and the roller coaster of emotions and nerves and excitement and those types of things. But look, my memories from the game, obviously not positive memories. Had a couple of chances early to put some scores on the board, which you personally,
you had the first score. First shot.
Yeah. So I relived that in my mind a few times, and went back, left foot snap, and hit the post. So couldn't get the score on the board.
That day, you're playing a team that was clearly the superior team of the year. There's no question about that. They dropped one game. They barged their way into the grand final. Going to the ground that day, in your heart, did you believe you could beat them?
Oh, absolutely, absolutely. We'd come close throughout the season. They knocked us off, but we pushed them to the limit throughout the season, and we came in knowing that they were the favourites, but also knowing that we had this huge momentum and push in through that final series. So, we gave ourselves every chance. Looking back now, we were sort of caught up with the excitement of it all, but we didn't at that stage. A really young team. We just didn't quite know what it took to take the next step and win one. But we never got there again to give it another go.
Now, talking about young, there was a young bloke called Brad Green played that day. In my view, there was a pivotal moment late in the first quarter. Brad Green was, in footy terms, assaulted at centre-half forward, and nothing happened. Now, he was in your vicinity and David Schwartz's vicinity. Yeah. Should you, looking back on it, did someone at Melbourne need to fly the flag then? Yeah,
look, to be honest, completely honest, it's an interesting one because you look back and it's very clear what's going on. But on the day, I didn't even know that had actually happened until much later in the day. It wasn't until probably half-time where I actually knew that this had actually happened.
It surprises me that something can happen in your vicinity, in such a big event, and you not see it. It is. I mean, I'm not doubting your word, but I'm just saying it just seems funny.
Yeah, I guess there's lots of different things that are going on, and there's little scrimmages and pushes and shoves here and there all over the place, but the actual that act just didn't sort of register with me anyway. I don't know what I was doing at the time. Who knows where I was focusing on? But
looking at the race results,
I don't think it was quite that. But
now, Neil Danaher was your coach that day. You developed a magnificent relationship with him as player and captain and coach. Take me back to the start of the Danaher-Neitz relationship. Was it in New Zealand?
Went to New Zealand.
To Wellington, yeah?
Yeah, over to Wellington. Played the Swans over there.
In a pre-season game?
Pre-season game, yeah. And, we come from Neil Barmer, who was, as he is now, he's quite relaxed and measured in the way he goes about things. And then we got our first real taste of Danaher, the intensity of Neil Danaher in that game. And I think that I had been on the ground for most of the first half, and midway through the last quarter, he's dragged me, put me on the pine, and put Sean Smith on. And at half-time, he wasn't all that impressed.
Can you remember the dialogue?
Well, he didn't give him that much instruction, but he came in. Fire and brimstone, fire in his eyes, and singled myself and Jeff Farmer out. And for me, it was, Nita, take a mark. Yeah, Sean Smith comes on for 5 seconds and he takes a mark. Can you please take a mark? So at least I knew what he wanted from me. But poor
How did the whiz go?
Paul Wizard didn't get any instruction at all. He just got 3 belts. Wizard! 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 And that was it. And then he actually blew a gasket in his voice box and had to hand over to Greg Hutchison, who took over for the rest of the instruction. So that was his first ever speech as the Melbourne coach, but he certainly made his mark.
But that photo there tells what happened down the track. I mean, you became very tight with the coach, didn't you?
Yeah, look, I thought he was just fantastic for our club and for our group. I guess throughout my time at the Demons, there'd been a lot of upheaval, externally and within, board and CEOs. We had lots of turnover going on at that time, but he just did a magnificent job of keeping our group together. He's just got an amazing ability to absorb a lot of that external pressure himself, absorb it, and then, protect his players. And he just did that really manfully, and I thought it was magnificent for our group.
When he finished round 13, 2007.
Yep.
You were banged up, weren't you? You hadn't played the previous week. You wanted to come back and play in his farewell game.
Absolutely.
Did you have to convince him that he should let you play that day?
No. I didn't have to convince him at all at that stage. But my knee was gone. I think I just had surgery on my hand. My knee wasn't right. I had a few things going on with my body, but there was nothing going to stop me. I wanted to be out there and at least fly the flag.
Do you remember the exchange with Neil at the end of it? The dialogue?
No, it wasn't much dialogue really. I just think that there was just an understanding of the effort, and in my way, in a very public way, just say this is the type of guy that this is what he meant to me as a player, and I just wanted to make sure that I did him proud on that day in his last game, and thank him for the work that he'd put into our club and to me and my development personally. So it was a huge figure, obviously, in my footy career.
You've become close friends with Neil, and as the world now knows, he's got motor neurone disease. Do you talk to him regularly?
Yeah, we catch up. We catch up, but he's in Perth, obviously, still at the moment. But we catch up when he's down. But yeah, it certainly is a huge, unbelievable shock to the system to hear of that disease and then finding more about it and sort of where it sits. But as a man, I spoke to him over the phone when I first found out, and his response, typical Danners. We spoke about it for about 5 seconds. He told me that in his experience, from what he knows, it's a very slow developing, and he's got plenty of time, and we shouldn't worry about it. But he also said, "But I've got no scientific evidence to back that up." And then let out a huge bellowing laugh, and then really it's all just about let's get on with it, let's enjoy each other's company and enjoy life, and that's how it's been.
During the Danaher reign, the footy club's fortunes were amazingly up and down, weren't they? You had the peaks and troughs almost every second year.
No, we did. We had his first year in '98. He took us to school. And it was an amazing turnaround from '96 we're emerging, '97 we were bottom of the ladder, and then he came in through over that '97, '98 pre-season, and we had a really great team in '98. We had, we had Gary Lyon, Todd Viney, Jim Stein, Stephen Tingay. We had a really, really talented group. But he was able to, Brett Lovett, but he was able to reinvent some of those guys for at least for that year and really get us up and going. So '98 was. I still think '98 was probably, even though we came off a really low base, our best chance to actually win one.
Really? Yeah.
Even though we made it in 2000 to the grand final, I really thought that '98 was our year that we could have really made that impact.
You were a physical player. I mean, you're a big man, but you did enjoy the physicality of the football field, didn't you?
I did, yeah. And that was all part and parcel of it. And that's my role as a big guy. As a big guy, that's what you're there to do, to be able to create a really strong aerial contest first and foremost, but where you can, you want to make sure that people around you know that you're there, create a presence on the ground.
I'll tell you what you did do. You gave me one of the great memories of modern Melbourne in the first round of 2002.
Yeah.
You're playing against the Hawks.
Yeah, that's right.
You're coming out early in the game, coming out from the goal square. loose ball. Luke McKay from Hawthorn's in your path. You demolish him, win the footy, you kicked the goal then, didn't you?
Kicked the goal, yeah.
1 of 5 for the day. I mean, that was a moment, I think, where you and the footy team said, last year was an aberration, we're better than that.
I think so, yeah. And you know, a lot of the talk coming off the 2000 grand final, then a really poor 2001 season, and you know, we spoke about it earlier with a few of our guys roughed up in the grand final, the Michael Long and Troy Simmons incident, so that the tag of Melbourne being soft was going around, and that was something that I knew that I needed to stand up and be counted. And look, poor Luke McKay, it was a great moment, I guess, for me personally, as far as making a statement about what our season was going to be about and what I was going to be about. But unfortunately, poor old Luke McKay was in the way. But
he's a victim for the cause.
It was a victim for the cause. But look, it was a real statement moment in the end.
You played centre half back and centre half forward in your first year when you were 18. I mean, that's a big achievement, playing in the two toughest spots on the ground, perhaps, at such a young age. Yeah,
it was interesting. My first year I played, first few games I played the forward pocket alongside Alan Jakovic. So,
that was a good seat at a great
show. It didn't last too long. My instructions were to just get out of his way, basically. So I think one game I kicked 5 or 6 early and Jacko wasn't happy, so I had to move it back to the defence.
Lots of us who care for the Melbourne Football Club got thrill after thrill watching Jakovic play at full forward. Yeah. All too brief. You saw him up close. Tell us a bit about the bloke.
Oh, he was, as you saw him on the field, I think just an enigma. It was just unbelievable. He didn't care for training too much. He didn't care for rules too much. Yeah. He just commanded that 50-metre arc. His presence inside that 50 was phenomenal. And his strength and his reading of the flight of the ball in the air. You know, he was phenomenal. He'd run people under the ball and, you know, run rings around them, really spit of the threatening bit, turn around and run into an open goal. His reading of the footy and the play was just phenomenal. The man that I regard as the greatest player I've seen said that you were his toughest opponent, or one of his toughest opponents? Yeah, one of his toughest. And look, I played on Wayne a few times and got the better of him a few times, but he was just someone that you just had to be on your mettle the whole time because he could just turn a game, as we all know, so quickly. As much as I enjoy the times when I was able to get over the top of him, I do remember vividly playing against him. It was a night game against North, and I was lined up centre half forward initially. I think Sean Smith was on Wayne in the first quarter, and he kicked 4 in the first half of the first quarter, and then I got a tap on the shoulder to head back into the back line. And my memory of that game is that I actually thought that I couldn't have done. I played as well as I could have played. I actually spoiled it quite a few times and was right up on him and did everything I possibly could have done. And he ended up kicking 11.
Did he really?
He kicked 11 for the day. And on the mark, I've never felt that way on a footy field before. I always felt that I was better than whoever I was playing on. Whether I was or not, it's a different story, but I always felt that. But at that moment, I just thought, wow, there's nothing I can do on this guy. It's unbelievable.
When you became captain, you beat your mate Swarter for the job, didn't you?
Yeah.
And it was a fairly public...
It was. Yeah. Well, you made it public.
I was hoping you forgot that.
So it was quite public, but it was great. It was really good. We had a fantastic pre-season. We ended up making the grand final that year, but we had a fantastic pre-season. We were both egging each other, pushing each other along, pushing the whole group along.
Yep.
And it was fantastic feeling within the group. But yeah, there was a bit of conjecture as to whether Swarter should get it or I should get it.
I must say now, I think the club made the right decision.
Well, it was interesting because we're two very different personalities. Yep. He's a very flamboyant, charismatic kind of guy, and you know, lots of people would follow him naturally because of his charisma. But I was a different way of getting it done, and I was, I guess, more about action, getting it done on the ground, and not as big of a personality within the group, but I think I led by my actions really well all the way through my career.
I agree with that. Did it create any tension between the two of you?
No, look, no, it didn't. I think we worked really well together for a period of time. But then the major thing with, and it's well documented now, but with the Ox, with his gambling and those that really started to take a hold of him for a period there. And that then made it difficult because me, as mates, we're great mates growing up, but me as captain, I've got to pull my best mate up because he's going outside of what we were there for and there to do, and that responsibility fell to me.
Did you address the gambling specifically with him?
No, not really. Not really. I think we all knew that he loved to punt, but I don't think anyone really knew the depths of where he was at until it was probably fairly late in the piece, you know.
When we come back, my favourite game of your time, the merger game. My favourite game of the Neitz era was the merger game.
Okay, yeah.
Hawthorn and Melbourne, last round of 96.
Yep.
I reckon the expectation was that 20 or 25,000 people might turn up. And there were 70 there, weren't there?
Oh, it was an unbelievable night.
That was a great experience to be there that night.
Yeah, it was. It was obviously just the emotion of the game, and you know, the first bounce of that game was ferocious. A lot of emotion, and then Dunstall ends up kicking his 100th goal of the night, and it was.
You kicked 8?
No, kicking six in that one, and just a point of the game. So. Did
you expect the merger to go ahead?
I thought at that stage that it would. We'd had some dialogue with the club, and Tiger Ridley had spoken to the players, and particularly Gary Lyon, who was skipper at that time, who was the main conduit, but obviously between the board level and the playing group. But we thought this is going to happen. So we knew we were going in thinking, well, half our list is gone, and this is going to be a huge upheaval of the history of the game. You know, considering Melbourne Footy Club, invented the rules of the game with Wills and those guys. So, we expected that was going to go through, and this is going to be it.
David, round 1, 2005, you're captain of the Melbourne Football Club. You lead your players onto the ground in a tribute game to Troy Broadbridge, who'd been lost in the tsunamis in the off-season. How difficult was that?
Well, it's an unbelievable world event, on a world scale, but the personalisation of that with Troy was phenomenal, and everything that Trish went through as well, just unbelievable. But, a young man cut down in his prime, just a beautiful person, such a giver to our team, and just shattering circumstance.
As a senior Melbourne man, you've had to deal with a lot. We're talking about Troy Broadbridge in this instance. Dean Bailey's gone. Jimmy Steins is gone. Sean White's gone. That's a lot for young people to deal with, isn't it? When you get so close to people.
Yeah. Look, it is. It's, over the last few years, it's been phenomenal, really, with some of the guys that you get close to, going, which is just so super sad and taken in their prime. So, but I guess Troy was as part of the playing group. And so suddenly and so tragically, and then for us as a team in that short period of time, having to come together to be able to continue on and perform in that season, perform in his honour, and particularly in that first game, that Essendon game, it was a very determined bunch of guys that wanted to go out and play and perform in his honour.
But when you're young, footballers tend to think they're invincible, don't they? I mean, everything has gone well for them and they're playing the most popular game in the country. Did you feel amongst the playing group then that this had a massive impact on them about their vulnerability?
Absolutely. I think so. You can't help but think about things, your own mortality at that point in time. It's not something you ever think about, but it's something that's happened to someone so close to you. And I'm sure that everyone's experience of death is different, but for that to happen to our group, and we needed to take some time out to do some soul searching of ourselves. And you turn up to training the next day and think, well, what are we actually doing here? Why are we here training? What's this all for? What's this all about? But in the end, I think as a group and as a team and as a club, we really bonded.
2008 is your last year.
Yep.
Dean Bailey's the new coach.
Yep.
It's round 3 at Geelong.
Yep.
Melbourne loses by 30 points in a game you're probably expected to win. Tell me what happened after the final siren.
Well, it's an interesting one. I copped a bake. I copped a bake from Buzz. I don't even really remember exactly what the bake was for. but I copped it, and a few of the senior guys copped it that day.
Did you resent it?
No, I didn't resent it at all. At the time, I wasn't happy. But coming into that season, I knew I was really battling body wise, and I also knew where the list was at, and we were, Chris Conley had come in at that point in time and reshaping the list and whatnot. So there's a whole lot going on in the lead up to that game, and we copped it. I copped it personally, and I probably
Was it fair?
Look, we didn't play well. We lost the game that we probably should have won, but at that time I wasn't happy with it. Cracked the shits.
Now the story was that you were so angry with it that when you stayed for the meeting concludes, everyone goes their different ways, that you left Geelong in your footy gear and drove home.
No, well, stories do get embellished a little bit along the way, but look, it's fair to say that I was annoyed at the whole situation. I was probably annoyed at myself and my own body that I just couldn't do the things that I wanted to do, and compounded by criticism by the coach. When in my mind I'm thinking I'm doing what I can, but it just wasn't enough. But so I cracked it. I jumped in the shower pretty quickly. Didn't hang around very long. Didn't do the warm down properly, but hit the road.
A lot of senior players were moved on in that period. I mean, you retired because your body gave way, but a lot of senior players were. Did they move too quickly? Did they cut too deeply?
Yeah, they did. And obviously, you know that the plan was to get the young guys in to the club and give them some experience and all those types of things. But you certainly look at it now and you think that there are some players that could really guide. Who
was cut prematurely? Who were the ones, if they had their time over
again? Well, I
mean,
the James McDonald one is the most publicised one. And, James was just fantastic. And the way it happened. I know James wasn't. It was badly handled, and I know James wasn't happy with the way it all went down, and nor should he be. But he could have stayed for a bit longer. Even Brad Miller, he moved aside for Jack Watts, who had only been there for 5 seconds, and could have used the body around him to support him. He goes to Richmond and gets out a few more years. And he's really serviceable.
Did it affect the fabric? Did it affect the morale of the player group? The McDonalds and the Millers and all those guys going? Look.
I think it did. There's lots of things that were happening, I think, behind the scenes that were affecting our player group. Bales and Connells, two key figures in the footy department, weren't seeing eye to eye, and that's filtering in through the player group, and they know that there's this animosity happening, and you can't operate at your optimal level or even close to it when all of that's going on.
A couple of incidents after dark during your football life. One famous one where you made the front and back pages of the Herald Sun for a extended visit at the casino.
Yeah, well, we were struggling throughout the year, the early part of that year, and very tense. It was very tense around our group. So we decided, well, we need to just relax a little bit, take the pressure out, and in the build up to the break, let's just go out as a group together, come together, and enjoy each other's company. Then go off, have a break, come back refreshed and ready to go. But we did. We went to a local pool hall, had a good time.
So you and a few of your mates went on to the casino?
So we did. We went to the casino, and in the end, we were there too long, too late. Had too much to drink, and I think it was myself and Craig Ellis were walking out of the casino. Jovial, I think we had a bit of a headlock and rub of the head and all that kind of thing. It was pretty late. It was too late. It would have been 3 o'clock
midnight
or something like that. It would have been 2 or 3 o'clock. It's way too late to be out and about. And there were 3 cabs at the Crown Casino, and I went to the first cab and he said, "No, I've seen you hijinks with your mate. You're not coming in." Second one, exactly the same. He said, "No, you're not coming in my cab." And the third cab, I said, "Well, mate," I opened the door, jumped in and said, "Look, I'm going nowhere, so you're taking me home, or else I'm going to sleep in your cab, and that's what's happening. So you take me home." And he didn't. He wasn't happy. we had a bit of a verbal, and then next thing you know, I'm getting actually dragged out of a taxi
By a bouncer?
by about 5. Well, there's probably about 7 or 8 of them in the end, but dragged out of the taxi, and then next thing they rang the police, and here I was.
Did you vent your displeasure to the bouncers, or did you go quietly?
Look, when you're getting manhandled by 7 or 8 guys, it's not a nice feeling. But I gave them a bit of a serve. And
Anything else?
Look, I might have tried to bite back a little bit, but it wasn't a fantastic memory. But I was pretty keen. It was the bye, so I was pretty keen to get out of town after that, Mike. And
how did you go next? What did the coach say?
Oh, look, I went out in front of the media straight away and just said this is obviously unacceptable and those types of things. The club weren't impressed, they were obviously keen for us to go out and let our hair down, but they're not wanting this kind of attention. So, they gave it to me a bit, but I've spoken to Dennis about it since that, and he said, "Mate, well, we're never going to drop you." So I knew you were going to come back and give me something the next week. So
did you?
So I kicked 7 the next week.
That's a good boy. Well done. Well done.
So I made sure I had to give him something back in return.
Hall of Fame. You're eligible. Your record is undeniable. You're a bit miffed that you're not in it?
Yeah, get me on, will you, Mike?
I don't have any clout anymore.
Look. It's an interesting one, the Hall of Fame, and some of the guys that played a lot of, throughout my era are being inducted at the moment, which is just fantastic. It's fantastic for them. But at the same token, there's the guys we spoke about earlier. There's some of the guys in our footy club have 6 premierships, 5 premierships, and they're not in. So there's quite a few Melbourne people that probably deserve their chance. But if it does come my way, I'll accept it with open hands and
good answer.
And enjoy it.
Hey, mate, you've been an inspiration to all of us who care for the Melbourne Football Club over a lot of years.
So you do care for the Melbourne Football Club?
I do, yeah.
Great to know.
I balked there, didn't I? No, I do. And no one could ever query your commitment to the on-field stuff and the off-field. You've been a great leader for the footy club and a great servant. Well played and good luck for the future.
Thanks, Mike.
This has been a Fox Footy production for Fox Sports.